then.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, about 14 years ago, I was married. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had three children. And my then husband came home and said, "I'm done being married to you, and I know how much you love the children, so you can have them." And then he ran off with a 25-year-old girl. So I was at the time incredibly devastated. I had given up my career because we were following his career around. We moved around the country to promote him. And so therefore I was not in corporate America with my own earnings potential at that time. And I literally felt like I was, some just shot in the stomach. I know I just literally felt like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. And, but then after, a period of mourning, and it took me about 5 weeks, I was shaking nonstop. I was upset. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I said, okay, this is no way to live. You need to get up. You need to put on your big girl pants, and you need to figure this out. And so I had a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 13-year-old. I hadn't worked in over 10 years in the healthcare arena. I was reading some articles that said, if you've been out of the workforce more than 5 years, nobody's going to hire you. Your skills are like a dinosaur. Well, so I stopped reading that stuff because I didn't want to read something that told me I wasn't going to be able to, be okay financially. And so I just started back into working and raising my kids. And it was a difficult time. There was, unfortunately, my divorce lingered on for over 10 years in the courts. It was terrible. But here's the
Wow.
thing. I know. Yeah, exactly. Wow. But here's the thing is that um, I'm past that now. My kids I've got one who's getting married. I've got, one that just graduated with her master's degree, and I've got one who's a senior in college. So that period of time is behind me. But let me tell you, it was, you know, at the time it was so devastating. And I thought, how can this be? My quote unquote perfect little life was now, abruptly taken away. The rug was ripped out from underneath me. But let me tell you, that is not, when I look back upon it, it was not the life of my dreams. I was living in a falsehood of reality. And so now my life is more like the life of my dreams because, I'm an entrepreneur. I love what I do. My kids, I have a great relationship with all three of my kids. And, you just, again, you learn that this is not the life that I wanted originally, right? But now it's so much better than I could ever have imagined, honestly. So again, you just pick up, not to say it was easy. There were times I thought, oh, this is exhausting, but every day got better and every day got better and better. And so you just keep going.
Wow. That's pretty ballsy.
Well, it's like, what else are you going to do? So I always say you can only be a victim in the short run, because was that fair what happened? No, but that's not the issue. The thing is that you can only be, people can harm you and people can do things that are wrong to you, betray you, cheat on you, steal from you, whatever. But that's not your defining moment. Your defining moment is what you do with it, because someone can prick you once, but I promise you will prick yourself 1,000 times by reliving that memory. And so you're the one who is keeping yourself in that captive state of inaction. If you say, no, this isn't right, this event or situation isn't right, but you instead of dwelling on that, you move in a different direction. What is the positive thing I can gain from this? And then things will be all right. But I always say being a victim is a short-term gig only.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool that you're able to get up and move and have that thought process. I mean, 5 weeks, I bet in the moment it felt like forever, but that's a quick turnaround to just be like, all right, nope, this is not how I'm living. I'm going to make a difference in myself.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you say that. And here's the reason why. This is another kind of tool I've learned over my lifetime, is that you cannot heal what you do not feel. And so what I did is I didn't deny what was going on. I went into the pain and I felt the pain in every cell of my being. And because I was able to, instead of squash that pain, instead I felt it, it's, there's even a biblical term that this too shall pass. If a lot of us will do this either consciously or subconsciously, in that if, imagine having like a beach ball, right? And you're trying to keep this beach ball underwater. Well, you know how impossible of a task that is, right? I mean, it's like you're constantly pushing it down. Well, that's what we do a lot with our emotions. We don't want to face something because it's painful to look at it, or maybe it makes us angry. And so we don't want to feel those emotions, right? We always just want to be happy, happy, happy. So we keep pushing that beach ball underwater. Well, what I did is I didn't push the beach ball underwater. I went into the pain. I felt the pain. Believe me, I lost a lot of weight. I wasn't able to eat. I was shaking all the time. Every minute felt like an hour. But the thing is I emerged from it because I went deep into that pain. I felt it. And then, like I said, this too shall pass. And that's kind of how I've dealt with a lot of situations. I've had different relationships in the last 14 years. And instead of when they end, whether the other person ends them or I end them, instead of being mad at that person or mad at myself, no, I just go, what was the gift? They provided me with a gift. What was it? And then I also look at, what didn't go well. And then again, I will go through and feel that pain so I can process and move on.
So it's like a learning experience.
Absolutely. Right. Again, you're either winning or you're learning. And so, but I think a lot of people, unfortunately, try to keep that beach ball underwater. It requires a lot of effort to do that. And so then they instead are going, and believe me, that stuff is buried deep in your cells. Emotion is buried very deep in your cells, and it can manifest over time into, disease. And so it's not good to do that. It's good to instead process and learn what happened and to feel, because this too shall pass. I promise you it does. It really, really does.
I like it. You have another talk, which I'm a person where, besides the fact that I feel like everything can be done in 24 hours, the old college mentality, just don't go to sleep.
Uh-huh.
I always feel like not always, but there are times where there's so much going on in one day, because I will jam everything in one day for the busyness. I'm a busyaholic. I don't even know if it's a real thing, but I'll make it a thing. Where I'm like, oh, damn, there's more time in the day, or I ran out of time for this. But you have a talk that you do that it's the myth of not having enough time.
Correct. So what people do, if you can tell what people value, right, by looking at where they spend their time and where they spend their energy and their resources, right? So all you have to do is grab somebody's bank statement and grab their calendar, and you'll know what they value, right? Because people can give lip service to things, but what they actually do is what they value. And a lot of people think they don't have time to do things. But in reality, 1 hour a day over a year is, 365 hours. Well, if you divide that by a 40-hour work week, that ends up being approximately just shy of 9 work weeks. So that's like about a little over 2 months. So that's just 1 hour a day. So if you, like say an employee would go to their boss and say, hey, listen, the whole month of January when I come to work, the whole month of February, and probably a little bit of that first week of March, I'm not going to do work for you. I'm going to actually just work on things for myself. Now, of course, your boss would go, okay, this is crazy. I'm not going to pay you. But the point is, I'm just trying to be extreme to make the example, that is how much time just 1 hour a day is over a year. So we can spend that, going down a rabbit hole on social media or watching TV at night. So if you really do, carve out just literally 1 hour a day, you can end up changing your life quite dramatically over time. And so when people say they don't have time, I don't believe them, and you really just, you can look at your day and you can find time that you are completely wasting.
Yes. Yes. There are times of the day that are being wasted. I'm the person where I want more time. I want more time in my day to keep adding on to some other things, or I'll multitask where I don't multitask very well. But yeah, like I have that college mentality. I'll just add more time in my day if I don't sleep versus you're going into the other day.
Well, you know what they call multitasking? It's really called diffused awareness. So now, I mean, women are more wired that way, right? We have more of a connection between our right brain and our left brain. So women do tend to multitask. But sometimes they call it, when you really have an important thing to do, if you got diffused awareness, so you're really not doing the best at everything that you're trying to do, there is a time when you really need to be very focused.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear you, but the thing is just really, people need balance over time, because it's not sustainable. Yes, you can, like, if there's a deadline at work, you can really pound away the hours, but then other areas of your life will suffer. And I can tell you that actually, I had a client on the East Coast. I live in Denver, Colorado, and I had a client on the East Coast where I was flying back and forth every week or every other week. And I promise you, the only thing that was going well at that time was I was doing great for the client and I was making really good money. But I wasn't out walking, which is good for me. I was eating not the best things in airports. I was not seeing the gentleman that I was in a relationship with. And at that time, it ended up going away because of that. I wasn't putting in enough time into that. So short term, you can really, help with one area of your life if it needs it. But it's just not sustainable over time. You really do need balance.
Yes, balance. And a good organizer or
Yes,
planner.
true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, being very organized, right? Mm-hmm. But we really do need time for ourselves. I always say there's different buckets in our life, and everyone's buckets are going to look different. But you can have your alone time bucket, or you're working on your health bucket, or maybe a meditation bucket, and a relationship bucket, or a kid bucket, or your family bucket, your career bucket. And the thing is when you only pay attention to one bucket, the other buckets suffer. And so again, over time, you really need balance. A pendulum, right? If you take a pendulum and you pull it all the way to the left, it's going to swing equal and opposite all the way to the right. But a pendulum that's in balance will stay there literally forever. And so the more balance you can find in your life, the better you will be over time.
I think you learn that. I mean, on Sundays, most days I'm pretty good, but on Sundays you forget you want to be the yes person, or you just want to get everything done. And I learned that in the form of a really good planner, an accountability partner, and then just like visually seeing the list. Here's like the things that I want to get done in the month. And I used to be like, oh, well, I didn't get it done, so I have to get it done. But now I'm like, okay, nope, it's fine. Let's just roll it over to the next month and make a whole new list of things that we want to get done. So that's helped me a lot in this making 24 hours a day, 72 hours, but really not.
Right. And making sure that what's on your list too, is it bringing you joy, right?
Right.
Because it's not just, we don't want to go through our life and get to our grave and go, wow, look at all I accomplished. A U-Haul does not follow a hearse to the graveyard, right? So you want to, whereas the relationships that you have had, and the memories, and the love that you leave is really what's important. So ensuring that you find joy, and there's a lot of joy to be found, right? So
Yes.
and making sure that you're doing things that are in alignment with what makes you happy.
Yes, that is key. That is key.
Uh-huh.
But thanks for coming on, Tammy. How do people find you and hear your talks and just about you?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I actually give people out my email, it is my name. It's tammylynnguns@gmail.com, which is just TAMMY, and Lynn is LYNNGUNS@gmail.com. I have a business phone number that I give out as well, which is 303-301